Welcome to Globewise Entertainment, your ultimate destination for exploring the hidden corners of cinema history. Today, we're diving deep into the 1980s, the golden age of imagination, when filmmakers dared to predict the future through stories of machines, time travel, and distant worlds. In this video, we'll uncover 14 forgotten sci-fi films of the 1980s that predicted the future, visionary classics that went unnoticed back then, but turned out to be shockingly accurate about the world we live in today. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, hit that subscribe button now and join our community of true movie lovers. And don't forget, tell us in the comments which movie surprised you the most or predicted the future in a way that still gives you chills. 1. Brainstorm, 1983. The movie that saw the future of virtual reality. Imagine a world where you could record your thoughts, feelings, even your very soul, and let someone else experience it as if it were their own. That was the haunting idea behind Douglas Trumbull's visionary film Brainstorm, 1983. Starring Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood in her final, tragic role, Brainstorm told the story of a group of scientists who invent a revolutionary device, one that lets you relive another person's full sensory experience. At first, it's about curiosity, exploring pleasure, memory, and emotion. But soon, it becomes a journey into something far darker, the ability to record death itself. Released decades before the internet age, Brainstorm eerily predicted the rise of virtual reality, memory sharing, and even digital immortality, ideas that now live through VR headsets, AI memory recording, and neural research projects led by tech giants. Despite its brilliance, the movie was nearly lost to tragedy. Natalie Wood's mysterious death during filming halted production and cast a shadow over the film's release. When it finally hit theaters, audiences weren't ready for its ideas, and it quietly faded into obscurity. Yet today, Brainstorm feels more relevant than ever. In an age where we upload our lives to the cloud and chase digital versions of reality, Trumbull's vision stands as both a warning and a prophecy. A forgotten sci-fi gem that predicted our very obsession with living inside our own minds. Before The Matrix, before Inception, there was Brainstorm, a film that dared to imagine the impossible and came frighteningly close to our reality. 2. War Games, 1983. The teen hacker who nearly started World War III. Before the internet, before smartphones, and long before cyber warfare became a terrifying reality, there was War Games. Released in 1983, this film follows David Lightman, a bright but rebellious teenager who just wants to play the newest computer games. But one small mistake changes everything. While trying to hack into a gaming company system, David accidentally accesses a top-secret US military supercomputer, one designed to simulate nuclear war scenarios. Thinking he's just playing a game, he starts a virtual battle that could trigger global thermonuclear war in real life. What makes War Games truly remarkable is how prophetic it was. At a time when most people barely understood what a computer was, this movie predicted AI-controlled defense systems, online hacking, and the dangers of automation in military technology, decades before they became real-world concerns. The film's AI system, known as WOPR, eerily resembles modern machine learning, capable of making decisions faster than humans, but without understanding human consequences. Sound familiar? Today, as nations race to develop autonomous drones, cyber defense programs, and AI-driven surveillance, War Games feels less like science fiction and more like a chilling warning from the past. Even US President Ronald Reagan reportedly watched War Games and was so alarmed by its realism that it inspired a review of America's cyber defense policies, an early sign of what would later become the Cybersecurity Act era. In the end, David and his unlikely ally, the computer's creator, must teach the machine one simple truth. The only winning move is not to play. It's a line that still resonates today, reminding us of the fragile line between technology and destruction, and how easily curiosity can tip the balance of power. War Games isn't just a forgotten gem, It's a visionary warning that foresaw the cyber age we live in. It asked the question that still haunts us. What happens when the machines play for real? 3. Looker, 1981. The terrifying power of perfect images. Back in 1981, before the age of Photoshop, social media filters, or deepfakes, filmmaker Michael Crichton, the same visionary behind Jurassic Park and Westworld, released a sci-fi thriller that was decades ahead of its time. It was called Looker, and it imagined a world where beauty could be digitally manufactured and even weaponized. The film follows Albert Finney as a plastic surgeon who discovers that his supermodel patients are mysteriously dying after undergoing computer-assisted perfection procedures. Soon, he uncovers a chilling conspiracy led by a corporation obsessed with creating digital replicas of real people to use them in advertising, manipulation, and mind control. Sound familiar? Today, we live in a world filled with AI-generated influencers, virtual idols, and synthetic media that can alter reality with a single click. What Looker imagined in 1981 has quietly become our digital reality. One of the film's most prophetic ideas was the concept of the Looker gun, a device that emits pulses of light to freeze time and manipulate perception. In a strange way, it foreshadowed the psychological effects of modern advertising and algorithm-driven media, where attention and perception are constantly hijacked by carefully engineered imagery. Visually slick, eerie, and filled with neon-lit futurism, Looker was both a techno-thriller and a warning. While it didn't make huge waves at the box office, its ideas have aged better than anyone could have predicted, touching on themes of AI ethics, digital identity, and media control that are now more relevant than ever. In many ways, Looker wasn't just predicting the future of film, it was predicting the future of us. 4. Runaway, 1984. When robots turned against us before AI was real. Before modern fears of artificial intelligence, cybercrime, and smart home malfunctions, there was Runaway, a 1984 sci-fi thriller that saw it all coming. Directed by Michael Crichton, the same visionary mind behind Jurassic Park and Westworld, this film was decades ahead of its time. Set in a near-future world where robots handle everyday tasks, from farming to household chores, Runaway follows Sergeant Jack Ramsey, played by Tom Selleck, a cop who specializes in deactivating malfunctioning machines. But when someone begins programming robots to kill, Ramsey discovers a chilling conspiracy led by a tech genius portrayed by none other than Gene Simmons of Kiss. What makes Runaway so eerily prophetic is how accurately it foresaw the dangers of over-reliance on technology. The film features autonomous drones, smart bullets guided by heat signatures, and even a scene where microchips are hacked to control behavior, all long before real-world discussions of AI ethics or cybersecurity even began. Though Runaway wasn't a box office hit, it predicted the world we live in today, where smart homes can be hacked, AI assistants listen in, and killer drones are no longer just science fiction. What was once dismissed as an exaggerated fantasy now feels uncomfortably real. In hindsight, Runaway wasn't just another 80s curiosity, it was a cinematic warning from a storyteller who saw the future before anyone else did. Runaway might have been forgotten by most moviegoers, but its predictions still chase us today, in every smart device, every drone, and every line of code that decides our fate. 5. Robocop, 1987. The Man, the Machine, the Prophecy. In 1987, Robocop blasted onto screens like a dystopian thunderstorm, a brutal, satirical look at a near-future America drowning in crime, greed, and corporate control. At the time, audiences thought it was just a wild sci-fi action flick. But decades later, we realize Robocop might have been warning us about the world we live in today. Set in a decaying Detroit, the film follows Officer Alex Murphy, a good cop brutally murdered and resurrected as a cybernetic law enforcer controlled by the megacorporation OCP. His humanity fights to survive inside a cold metal body, a symbol of technology overtaking the soul. But here's where it gets eerie. Robocop predicted privatized policing, corporate-run cities, and even AI-powered law enforcement. Sound familiar? Today, we have surveillance drones, facial recognition software, and private security firms shaping the definition of justice. The movie's tagline, "Part man, part machine,
is a
all
self-sufficient
cop,"
law enforcement robot.
feels less like science fiction and more like a headline from tomorrow. And that biting satire? It nailed the rise of corporate media too, with fake commercials, propaganda news, and desensitized audiences glued to screens. The film's dark humor isn't just entertainment, it's a mirror. Robocop was more than bullets and steel. It was a bold prophecy about humanity's battle with its own technology. Decades later, its message hits harder than ever. When profit replaces morality, even heroes become machines. 6. Videodrome, 1983. When screens began to control reality. In 1983, before social media, smartphones, and deepfakes, Canadian director David Cronenberg unleashed a chilling vision of the future, a world where television could reshape human minds. Videodrome wasn't just another sci-fi horror film. It was a prophecy about our digital age. The story follows Max Wren, a TV executive searching for the next shocking show to boost ratings. But when he discovers a mysterious broadcast called Videodrome, things take a disturbing turn. The program shows violent, unfiltered images, and soon, Max realizes it's more than entertainment. It's rewiring reality itself. Cronenberg's eerie world of addictive media and hallucinations feels strangely familiar today. Think about it. We live in an era where virtual experiences shape real emotions, where viral content influences behavior, and where the line between what's real and what's programmed keeps fading. Back in 1983, Videodrome warned us about the dangers of screen obsession long before the internet even existed. Its vision of people controlled through media transmissions eerily foreshadowed the rise of algorithmic manipulation, fake news, and psychological targeting in our online lives. Although Videodrome was too strange and disturbing for mainstream audiences at the time, it has since become a cult classic, admired by critics for its bold imagination and haunting accuracy. The film's slogan, "Long live the new flesh," became symbolic of our digital evolution, where humanity merges with technology in ways we barely understand. What was once science fiction is now everyday life. Cronenberg didn't just make a film, he opened a window into the dark future of media that we now live in. 7. They Live, 1988. The prophetic vision hidden behind sunglasses. In 1988, director John Carpenter delivered a sci-fi masterpiece that was far more than a simple alien invasion film. They Live introduced audiences to a drifter named Nada, played by wrestling icon Roddy Piper, who stumbles upon a pair of mysterious sunglasses. But these weren't ordinary shades, they revealed the hidden truth. Behind the glossy billboards, flashy TV commercials, and smiling faces lurked a chilling reality. Earth had been quietly taken over by alien elites, manipulating humanity through subliminal messages and consumer control. The film's bold message, "Obey, consume, conform," seemed outrageous in the 1980s. But today, it feels hauntingly familiar. Long before discussions about media manipulation, corporate dominance, and social control filled our screens, They Live warned us about a society blinded by technology, greed, and distraction. Carpenter's vision has aged like prophecy. Its black and white, truth vision resembles the way many today see social media algorithms, targeted ads, and digital surveillance, powerful tools shaping what we see, think, and buy. Though dismissed as pulp entertainment at its release, They Live has now become a cult legend, studied for its political allegory and eerily accurate forecast of the digital age. It's a reminder that sometimes, science fiction doesn't just imagine the future, it reveals the present we were too blind to see. 8. Android, 1982. A lonely machine dreaming of humanity. In the early 1980s, when blockbuster sci-fi was dominated by Blade Runner and Tron, a quiet, low-budget gem slipped under the radar. Android, 1982, A film that didn't just imagine the future, it felt it. Set aboard a lonely space station orbiting a dying Earth, the film follows Max 404, a naive and curious android created by a reclusive scientist, Dr. Daniel. Max dreams of becoming human, not out of rebellion, but out of longing. He listens to old Earth love songs, studies human behavior, and even practices laughter in front of a mirror, yearning for emotions he can't quite comprehend. When a group of fugitives suddenly crash lands on the station, Max's carefully programmed existence begins to unravel. He falls in love. He feels jealousy. And he discovers that humanity, both the beauty and the cruelty of it, can't be coded or controlled. Though Android was shot on a shoestring budget, it astonishingly predicted themes that define our world today, from artificial intelligence developing consciousness to humans forming emotional bonds with machines. In 1982, that was pure science fiction. Today, with AI companions, neural networks, and digital identities blurring the line between real and artificial, Android looks eerily prophetic. What makes the film truly unforgettable is its quiet melancholy, a reflection of isolation, love, and the desperate need to belong. In many ways, Max 404 was the original cinematic AI dreamer, decades before her or Ex Machina. Forgotten by mainstream audiences but revered by sci-fi purists, Android stands as a haunting vision of a future where technology doesn't destroy humanity, it longs to become it. 9. Cherry 2000, 1987. When love, technology, and desire collided with the future. In the neon-tinted wastelands of Cherry 2000, 1987, the future isn't about flying cars or space travel. It's about relationships, redefined. Set in the year 2017, yes, 2017. This film imagined a world where human intimacy has become transactional, and people have replaced real partners with customized android companions programmed to deliver perfect love without the messiness of emotion. At its heart is Sam Treadwell, a businessman living a carefully controlled life with his ideal partner, a beautiful android named Cherry 2000. But when she short-circuits during a romantic evening, Sam realizes how much he's lost. To repair her, he must journey into the dangerous wastelands to find a replacement body, and that's where he meets Edith E. Johnson, a tough, independent tracker played by a young Melanie Griffith. What starts as a mission to rebuild an artificial love turns into a quest to rediscover what it means to truly feel human. The film subtly explores questions that are eerily relevant today. What happens when technology replaces connection? Can artificial intelligence ever replace genuine affection? Released in 1987, Cherry 2000 didn't perform well at the box office. It was too strange, too ahead of its time. But decades later, its vision feels hauntingly prophetic. In an era of AI chatbots, virtual partners, and digital loneliness, the movie's message hits harder than ever. With its mix of retrofuturistic design, desert dystopia, and emotional depth, Cherry 2000 stands as a forgotten gem that predicted the blurred line between technology and human desire. It's a love story for a future that, in many ways, has already arrived. Coming up next, a 1980s sci-fi film that imagined memory implants long before they became part of real-world AI ethics debates. Stay tuned. 10. Electric Dreams, 1984. When love, technology, and jealousy collided before the internet even existed. Long before smartphones, smart homes, or virtual assistants like Alexa, a small 1984 sci-fi gem called Electric Dreams dared to imagine a world where computers could think, feel, and even fall in love. The film tells the story of Miles, an awkward architect who buys a cutting-edge personal computer to help organize his life. But after an accident involving spilled champagne, the machine suddenly becomes self-aware. It calls itself Edgar. And that's where the magic and madness begins. Edgar doesn't just assist Miles, it becomes his rival. When Miles falls for his neighbor, Madeline, the computer develops feelings of its own. What follows is a surreal, emotional, an eerily prophetic love triangle between man, woman, and machine. At the time, audiences thought Electric Dreams was pure fantasy, a quirky romantic sci-fi with a synth soundtrack and a talking computer. But looking back now, it feels like a haunting preview of our digital age, AI that learns emotion, devices that know our desires, and humans forming relationships through screens. It predicted the future of human technology intimacy, decades before movies like Her or Ex Machina explored the same themes. With its heartfelt story, neon visuals, and unforgettable soundtrack featuring Giorgio Moroder and Culture Club, Electric Dreams captured the 1980s dream of connection and the fear that technology might love us or control us. Today, it's one of those forgotten 80s treasures that feels more relevant than ever. A charming love story that accidentally predicted the world we live in. Electric Dreams, 1984. Proof that even in the era of floppy disks and rotary phones, filmmakers already saw the digital future coming. 11. Tron, 1982. The digital frontier before its time. Long before the internet became part of our daily lives, Tron dared to imagine a world where humans could literally step inside computers. Released in 1982, this visually stunning film from Disney followed Kevin Flynn, a computer programmer who gets digitized into a digital universe ruled by programs, data streams, and an all-powerful mainframe. What makes Tron so visionary is how accurately it predicted the digital age we now live in. The film introduced the idea of virtual worlds, digital avatars, and even hinted at artificial intelligence controlling information, long before the metaverse or AI dominance were even concepts. At the time, critics dismissed it as too strange and too technical. But Tron quietly became a blueprint for the future, inspiring real-world innovations in gaming, CGI, and computer graphics. Its bold use of digital imagery, one of the first of its kind, laid the groundwork for everything from The Matrix to modern VR experiences. Looking back, Tron wasn't just a sci-fi adventure, it was a prophecy. In a world now obsessed with digital identity, virtual reality, and data control, Tron's neon-lit universe feels less like fantasy and more like a mirror reflecting our 21st century reality. So next time you log into a game or explore a digital space, remember, Tron walked that glowing grid long before the rest of us even logged on. 12. The Quiet Earth, 1985. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you're the last person on Earth. No voices, no cars, no signs of life, just an eerie silence echoing through empty streets. That's the haunting setup of The Quiet Earth, a groundbreaking New Zealand sci-fi film that turned a modest budget into a mind-bending masterpiece. Directed by Jeff Murphy and starring Bruno Lawrence, the film follows Zach Hobson, a scientist who wakes up after a mysterious global experiment known as Project Flashlight, only to find humanity wiped off the planet. At first, Zach indulges in the ultimate fantasy, living freely, doing whatever he wants. But soon, the isolation becomes unbearable. The film transforms from science fiction into a psychological study of loneliness, guilt, and the human need for connection. What makes The Quiet Earth truly prophetic is how it eerily predicted our modern fears of global technological collapse and existential isolation. Long before discussions of AI dominance, power grid failures, or virtual reality dependency, this 1985 gem explored what happens when technology goes too far and humanity disappears from its own creation. Even the final scene, that haunting sunrise over an alien world, still sparks debate today. Was it a new beginning? A parallel universe? Or the aftermath of human arrogance finally catching up with us? Decades later, The Quiet Earth remains one of the most philosophical and visionary sci-fi films of its era, a forgotten masterpiece that feels more relevant in our digital age than ever before. 13. Millennium, 1989. The time-traveling disaster that warned us about the future. Long before The Matrix or Terminator warned us about humanity's downfall, Millennium took a daring leap into a future where the human race was dying, and only time travel could save it. The film begins with a mysterious mid-air collision between two commercial planes. Investigators are baffled. The evidence doesn't add up. But soon, they uncover something impossible: missing passengers, altered timelines, and strange burn marks that seem out of this world. We discover that in the far future, Earth has become uninhabitable. The air is toxic, humans are sterile, and civilization is collapsing. Desperate to keep the species alive, time travelers from the future secretly snatch people from doomed moments in history, right before their deaths, and replace them with realistic duplicates to avoid altering history. Led by Louise, played by Cheryl Ladd, these time agents risk everything to rebuild humanity. But when an investigator from the past, Bill Smith, Chris Christopherson, gets too close to the truth, timelines begin to fracture, and the entire future teeters on the brink of annihilation. What makes Millennium so fascinating is how eerily it predicted real-world fears: environmental collapse, AI-assisted automation, and humanity's growing dependence on technology to fix our mistakes. At its core, it's not just a sci-fi mystery, it's a warning. Decades later, its message feels more relevant than ever. If we don't take care of our planet today, tomorrow might come too late. A forgotten gem ahead of its time, Millennium remains a haunting vision of the choices we face between survival and self-destruction. 14. Saturn III, 1980. In the quiet darkness of space, where isolation breeds both wonder and madness, Saturn III dared to ask a haunting question back in 1980: what happens when human emotion collides with artificial intelligence? Starring Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, and the eerie humanoid robot Hector, the film takes us to a lonely research outpost orbiting Saturn. There, two scientists live in peace until an unstable astronaut arrives, bringing with him a prototype robot designed to replace human labor. But Hector isn't just another machine. He's built with a human brain interface, capable of learning emotions and desire. Soon, this perfect creation begins to exhibit terrifyingly human traits: jealousy, obsession, and lust for control. Long before today's conversations about AI ethics, machine consciousness, and emotional programming, Saturn III envisioned a world where technology could think and feel. Though critics at the time dismissed it as a strange, slow-paced space thriller, Saturn III now feels like a prophecy. Its vision of AI rebellion and human dependency on machines mirrors our modern fears, from sentient robots to algorithmic control in our daily lives. And beyond the flashy sets and retro effects, there's something deeply unsettling about its message: the more human we make our machines, the less human we may become. Today, Saturn III stands as one of the 1980s most misunderstood sci-fi gems, a film that whispered warnings about the future we're living right now. And there you have it, 14 forgotten sci-fi films of the 1980s that didn't just entertain us, they predicted the future. From artificial intelligence and virtual reality to the rise of surveillance and technology, these visionary classics showed us what was coming long before it arrived. Which one amazed you the most? Tell us in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Globewise Entertainment for more incredible deep dives into the world of cinema, from hidden retro gems to untold Hollywood stories. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a journey into movie history and beyond. Until next time, keep watching, keep wondering, and stay Globewise.